everybody. As always, it is awesome to connect with you. Here's where we left off last time. We had a little bit of a picture that inspired us to remember if you have forgotten that coronavirus situation has changed our life, right? It changed the way that people have spent their time and collected in public spaces. We've got the Brooklyn Bridge in April versus the Brooklyn Bridge in January on the right. It's forced people to do things like figure out how routine medical appointments are going to have to happen when we're in home isolation. It's challenged us to think a little bit about how we'll have to vote. Challenged us to think a little bit about how we can help people who may be high risk for getting the virus. And it's challenged us to think a little bit about how we can maintain friendships and stay sane in the midst of this strange time. And maybe that's what I'm excited about for this class, is that while we, you know, have some really sad situations to deal with and a lot of problems that we're trying to overcome that are really affecting people's lives, we have the ability to make some changes. The question I want to answer for this mastery coding assignment number 4: how can we use computers to help solve disruptions to our way of life caused by COVID? It's going to be due next week. Okay, a week from today. We're going to have this class and our class on Monday and Tuesday entirely just to work on it and get feedback from me. So we have 2 goals today. We're going to read the requirements for the assignment and put a comment in Google Classroom to describe how comfortable you feel with them. If you ever take my class, if you've ever been in my class, when we do a mastery coding assignment, the first thing we always do is we read the requirements and make sure that we understand them before anything else pops up. And then I'm just going to ask you to work for it on 40 minutes, and I'll give you some feedback on it to decide what you want to do. Take a look at the Haiku page for today. I have a little box that you can click on. Go to mastery coding assignment number 4. That looks a little bit like this. You'll see a reminder of our purpose at the top, along with the examples I just gave you of problems that we're running into. On Wednesday and Thursday, or I'm sorry, on Monday and Tuesday on your quiz, you listed off a problem that you think you would like to solve, or that would be worth solving, that's caused by the COVID crisis. You can change your mind if you want to. But that seems like a really good place to start. This assignment is all about showing off what you've learned about JavaScript. And it has 6 requirements. This is the important part of today. If you go to Google Classroom, you should see a little assignment called Mastery Coding Assignment number 4. You should have the place to submit. And before you do anything else today, you're going to go ahead and create a CodePen link. You're going to save it so it's not the default link. And you're going to copy and paste it in. But the other thing I'd like you to do today is to make a comment showing me you understand the requirements of this assignment. So I'm Matthew Barron. I'll do some comments myself. You should have a space to add a private comment. It might look a little bit different. And today we're going to talk about requirements number 1 to number 6. I want to see that you understand what I'm asking you to do. And so for each of the requirements, as you read through them, you'll tell me something like, I've already done it. I totally understand what it's asking me to do. Or you're going to ask a question about that particular part, that particular assignment. So an example would look like this. Our first requirement: on the original form, list a problem you'd be interested in solving related to the COVID-19 outbreak. Consider what a website would look like that solves this problem. If you feel like you understand that, and most of you have already done it, as you did in your quiz on Monday and Tuesday, you can go ahead and for requirement number 1, right, I've got it. And maybe for my problem, I'm going to work on voting. That's something that I'm really passionate about. Requirement number 2. On your website, create an input box so that you can take in some information from the user. Let's say for requirement number 2, I feel comfortable creating an input box. I feel like I know how to do that. I can just put, good, making an input box. Let's say number 3, gets a little trickier. You're not quite sure how to do it at first. Create a button that activates a function in JavaScript. Use this function to change some part of the web page. Well, maybe I'm looking at it and I say, you know what, I don't really remember functions. All right, I don't remember how to make a function. And this is super helpful for me because then what I can do is I can go back at the end of class today and I can give you individualized feedback. I'd like you to get an answer for all 6 of the major requirements of the assignment. And I'm going to go ahead and just read 4 through 5 and 6 aloud in case it's helpful. You'll create a variable that saves the value from the input box. So you're taking something in with an input box, you're saving it in a function where you push a button, and you'll create a variable. You'll create an if-else statement that responds to that variable and changes the page differently, depending on what the user puts in. And you'll make sure that your website is interactive and uses JavaScript to change some element of the page. Text, color, border, background color, image change, etc. These are all things that we've learned how to do with JavaScript so far. And if you put them all together, you're basically getting something like an interactive website. Okay, maybe you have a website where if you were focused on voting, you put in a particular name, and you click the button to submit what the name is. And then if it's one of the valid options, the screen turns green. And if it's a name like Mr. Barron that's not on the presidential ballot, it'll turn red. Something like that would be, I think, a good start to this thing. Today, I want you to, in Google Classroom, list off your requirements. You're also going to submit your assignment, submit your link in CodePen. And I just want you to work on it for 40 minutes. Okay, there's a timer right here you can click on if it's good to set a 40-minute timer on it. This is our first day of working on this assignment. You'll also have all day, Monday and Tuesday, and I'm hoping that Wednesday or Thursday we'll get the chance to actually meet up in some smaller groups over video chat, depending on what your feedback was on the quiz, and to get the chance to one last thing. Yeah, I gave you a quiz on Monday and Tuesday to see where you were at, and it was a really good way to see what concepts in JavaScript we're understanding and what we're not understanding. I'm going to be totally frank with you guys. The problem that I have as teaching online is that it's a lot easier to see what you guys know in class than it is through a computer where you're submitting work in online. And this test was a good way for me to understand that. But I don't want it to stop there, especially since we're going to use it on Mastery Coding assignment number 4. So if you, by the end of the day today, by the end of your class day, you should receive your Unit 4 JavaScript test back in your email account. You can review the feedback there on your test, on your Riverside and Heron email. You can email me if you're interested in remediating the test. And then based on what you miss, I'll send you a list of like 5 questions that I'd like you to try, depending on what skills I think you need to work on that we can take a look at together. So let me know about the test. Mastery Coding assignment number 4 we'll be working on for the next week through about the end of April. And this is actually the second to last assignment that you're going to turn in for the year. Once you've got Mastery Coding assignment number 4 in, we're done with all of our individual Mastery Coding assignments, and we'll move on to our final project, which will take us the last 3 weeks of class. Thanks so much for all of your hard work. I miss you guys. I hope you're well, and I'm really excited to see how these projects come out. Have a great day.